Hey, good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. So excited to be with you and so excited to share the news with you. This will be a great report. I've actually got a little bit more from that interview I did with Corey Lewandowski. And if you don't know who Corey Lewandowski is, he was actually Trump's first campaign hire when he ran in 2016, and he ran the 2016 campaign for Trump. He still acts as an advisor to Trump, a senior political advisor, senior campaign advisor. So I'm gonna share that with you. But the conversation is really fascinating because Corey had just been with Donald Trump within a week of me doing that interview, and then I'm gonna post the entire interview up on Locals. So I've given you one piece of it. I'll give you another piece, and then my Locals link is in the description. I'm gonna post the entire interview there. Some of it went a little off the rails for YouTube world. I'll just be honest. It got pretty hot, pretty spicy, and I'll share my Locals link here for you really quickly, just so you have that. While I'm doing that, I will just mention my sponsor really quickly too. That's MyPillow, MyPillow.com. Promo code Lumberjack for big savings. Okay, so please, go support Mike Lindell. None of this will work. I will just tell you, people, if we don't have a safe and secure election, none of this will work. So the work he's doing, and I'm going to interview Mike this next week because he met with and other election officials as well across the country, had a roundtable here in Vegas, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that and what he has going on. There has been nobody better for working to secure election integrity than Mike Lindell, and the extravaganza is still going on. MyPillow.com/lumberjack. Okay. We'll get you the best deals there is, period. Okay. We get the best deals now. We're one of Mike Lindell's actually largest sales channels. So thank you for that. Thank you to my audience for supporting him and what he does. So go get yourself some of those towels. You'll love them. All that stuff's on sale in the $25 extravaganza. Okay. I'm going to get right into the news here though. And while we're building this stream, I'm going to first bring up, I got a super chat from Stephen Paulsonelli. Thank you so much for that, Stephen. And another one from JP. And JP had a great comment. They're trying to strip President Trump of his Secret Service detail, if you can believe this. That doesn't happen. No other president, no former president has ever had the Secret Service detail stripped. This is retarded. Okay. And he's a candidate, the leading candidate, Republican candidate for president. This is all so ridiculous, but they are in total freakout mode because of some things going on and some moves Trump is making, which I will share with you. But first, I want to just share with you a funny move right now. And that is Trump denies former CNN host Brian Stelter press credentials, tells him to buy a ticket instead. In other words, Donald Trump is not saying Brian Stelter can't come to the event. No, he's not excluding him from the event. He's just not going to give him press credentials because Brian Stelter is not serious press. He's not a real media person. Okay. He got canned from CNN. I mean, he jumped the shark so much he was too far gone for even CNN. And so now he has literally said, Brian, no, you can buy one. So listen to this. Reporters who've been iced out in recent weeks have not yet been banned outright from the events. They can still go as a member of the public, but that requires getting to rallies much earlier, which could be a deal breaker for some journalists given their busy schedules. This on a Vanity Fair. Okay. It's harder for people to accuse them of shutting out reporters because it's pockets of people and it's typically temporary, said one political reporter. And it's not just events, they added. If they're pissed off about a story, they won't talk to you for a week or two. I spoke with a number of reporters for this story who declined to discuss the dynamic with the campaign out of fear of losing access. This is wild because the press is so upset about it, but this is exactly what they were getting iced out of events. The liberal media was getting iced out of events for being mildly critical of Barack Obama. If you don't remember that story, that took place during Barack Obama's presidency. Now, I'm going to share this video now. There's 776 on, so I'm going to get right into this video now. Please do me a favor, though. Smash that like. Do leave a comment. It really does help the algorithm, and you'll see more people jump on as soon as you do that. But this is from the interview I did in New Hampshire with Corey Lewandowski, and this is all because I asked the question. I said, look, Javier Milei, I love what he's doing down there, canning 5,000 people immediately, eliminating cabinets altogether out of the Argentinian government. And I said, my hope is that we see President Trump do something like that. And this is what the conversation went from there.
Was talked about this if he gets the opportunity to go back to the White House. Okay. What happens is the federal government bureaucrats have a mentality. We own, you rent. We own this place. You're going to be here for 4 years. I'm going to be here for 20 or 25 or 30, or in the case of Fauci, 50. So you can come and go, but we are the ones who decide how this government functions. And one of the giant mistakes, and I've been very critical of our team, we were not ready to go on day one. When Donald Trump came in January 20th of 2017, we were not ready to go on day one. And because of that, a number of positions remain vacant that should have been filled by the administration. But more than that, we bequeathed our authority to those bureaucrats. And so now what the team has looked at is it's called the Schedule F. It's reclassifying these government bureaucrats who have no accountability because they're civil servants. And so we're now saying we're going to reclassify you so that if you commit a crime a la you work at the IRS and you leak Donald Trump's tax records, which, by the way, is a felony, we get to fire you. Guess what? Those people don't get fired. Most of the time, they don't even get prosecuted.
No, they get promoted.
They get promoted. To go back to what we talked about before is when you go and you do something that is against Donald Trump or the conservatives, you are promoted, you are rewarded, you are praised for it. Oh, I was just following my heart. I had to follow it. Yeah, this is what happens. So if Donald Trump gets back to the White House, there has been a top-down, bottom-up approach to look at these tens of thousands of government employees and ask yourself, do we really need them all? Because when they tell me the government's closing for a day, I don't go, oh my God, that's terrible. What do we? I say, Yahoo! Let's close for 3 days or 5 days.
Has anybody here ever suffered under a government shutdown?
Neil, you get the day off and then they pay you back pay.
Exactly.
It's amazing. Hey, Tom, you've got a business. Give all your employees the week off and then pay them back pay for not showing up. And you go, I'd be out of business tomorrow.
I would. But we keep doing it.
Of course we do. Yeah. And I think this government shutdown is, oh my God, the national parks are going to close and the park rangers won't be able to give Yogi Bear a cookie. No. I said, this is insanity.
But believe me, Tuesday, they were all April 15th.
Oh, yeah.
My check.
If the park service closed and we didn't have rangers at the park, I'd be happy. I went to Yellowstone. Yeah. All they do is try and police everywhere you go. You can't even walk around your own freaking national park. Folks, if you don't know, I'm a wildlife photographer, a wildlife and landscape photographer. That thing about the national parks that I covered in that interview is real. They want you to stay on all the trails and you can't go off the trails, and then you sit there and run around with some governmental power to do this. It sucks. I just hate even going to national parks anymore. I just go to the the forests and just go where I want to go. Okay. I got a K Trail said something here. I'm going to put up her pray without ceasing, folks. Amen. Kay, thank you so much for that super chat. And yes, pray without ceasing. Okay. Somebody said the stream is very choppy. I'm sorry. I reset my internet and everything to try and get that thing going. I'm going to share. I just have to pop this one little. It's a 1 minute commercial for Mike Lindell in, and then I'll get right back into this stream.
With the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use My Pillows, $25.
Those things are the best.
Sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium My Pillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over. Your entire order ships absolutely free.
So go check it out, folks. And the white slide sandals are only $9.50 right now with that promo code Lumberjack. So I'm going to add this back in and listen to the rest of this interview quick.
He knows that the system is so bloated. Look, I remember this story, and I'll just tell it and probably not get in trouble because I can't get fired anymore. Was sitting in the Oval Office one day, and this general walks in. I think he might have been the chairman of the Joint Chiefs at the time, and we were talking about potentially there was going to be a strike. Bashar al-Assad had used chemical weapons against innocent men, women, and children. And Donald Trump said, we are going to retaliate, and I want to understand what our options are. Sir, we can send Tomahawk missiles in, sir. He says, very good. That sounds like a good plan. When do we do that? We'd like to send 700 Tomahawks in, sir. Whoa. He said, 700? Wow, that seems like a lot. Like, how much do these things cost? Sir, what is the cost to send 700 Tomahawks in to Syria? Sir? He said, the cost. What does it cost the American taxpayers for this service? And by the way, can we do it with 600? Is there any way we can do it with 50? Do we have any other options? No, sir, it must be 700 immediately, and I will find out the price. So the guy scurries out of the Oval, talks to some other grundoon who's got, like 3 stars on his shirt, but doesn't allow to be in the room yet, scurries back, and, sir? And he gives him a price. And Trump goes, oh my, what? Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Like, we're not doing that. That's insane, right? And so it ends up, and the story now goes, and it's very public, that we put 59 Tomahawks into Syria that day to retaliate against Bashar al-Assad using chemical weapons against innocent men, women, and children. But 59 was a far cry of what they wanted. The cost to the American taxpayer was significantly less. And that's how Donald Trump, the businessman, thinks. But the military-industrial complex, right? The only thing they want is more money, more power, more ability to go to Raytheon and all the big companies and get those guys rich. And look, when Donald Trump said, hey, Saudi Arabia wants an aircraft carrier, it's no problem. $1 billion a day. $1 billion a day we'll put an aircraft carrier out there. You want one of our carriers, the most lethal fighting force the world has ever known is our new aircraft carriers. You want one, Saudi Arabia, because the pirates are ripping your ships off? No problem. You wire us $1 billion a day. You got plenty of oil. So why not? They get the cash. Give us the cash. Look, we're literally, we're borrowing money from China to give it to the Ukraine.
I know.
That's what we're doing.
I can't.
And then they give it back to the Democrats.
And then they go and buy Ferraris and Mercedes and Rolls Royces and pay off all the government pensions. And who's the dummies?
Yeah. We are. We're totally the dummies.
People, this interview is so chock full of good stuff, but we get into elections and it's wild as he goes over elections. I talked to him about Charlie Spees, all of it. Like I said, I will post the entire interview on Locals. It does not cost you a thing to sign up my Locals. And I just want you to know, you just have to enter your email address and then you will get notifications of when I go live on YouTube, because everybody tells me they're not getting notifications. Locals always sends my notification when I ask them to. So it will come through email that way. So anyways, I apologize about the spotty internet. It's a reality out here off the grid where I live. So I definitely apologize, but it is what it is. I'm just trying to get this news out, folks. This is, I woke up this morning. I got to be honest. Sometimes, I cover a lot of news and some of it is not good, people. A lot of it gets depressing. And, government corruption at a scale that I can hardly fathom. And the lust for power. And when you heard Corey Lewandowski talking about that military-industrial complex and the money that they're trying to soak off the American taxpayers, and we're borrowing from China to give to Ukraine, just answer me this in the chat. Does that make sense to any of you? I don't know. Some of my audience might be supportive of Ukraine. I mean, do any of you want us to borrow more money from China to give it to Ukraine to fight Russia, who, near as I could tell, we weren't in a war with, but it seems like China is the one that wants to take us down? To me, that makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense to me. I don't see Russia. I mean, I understand Russia's out for Russia, but that I think every country should be out for their own interests. and I understand that Russia hacked the NASDAQ, people. I mean, I don't think Russia's this great actor, but we have proven to be very bad actors as well. And now we've got Mike Johnson. And I got to be honest, I think he's worse than Kevin McCarthy at this point. And that really sucks to say. But when you hear this firsthand account of Corey Lewandowski talking about Donald Trump and what his plans are, and just how bloated the federal bureaucracy is, this is the kind of stuff that gives me hope. And see, there's two things we need right now in this country. One is we need a drastic change in policy. And number two is we need a national revival. We need to hit our knees and pray for revival like never before. We need to get more people saved in this country, more people thinking the right way, because Jesus is the answer. Even Donald Trump will confess that Jesus is more famous and Jesus is a better man, okay? Because Jesus is perfect, okay? So we need that in this country now more than ever. We need some more humility. We need more, what's the word I'm looking for? Intestinal fortitude to stand up for what's right. Anyhow, let's go back here to show you just some of the freak out and what the fallout of that has been. New York Attorney General Letitia James is urging New York State Supreme Court Justice Arthur Engoron to void the $175 million bond that the ex-president posted to appeal the New York civil lawsuit. So 175 is a huge sum of money. Letitia James couldn't even come up with it, even though she's done all of her corruption in mortgage fraud and so on. But Trump was found liable for committing business fraud. Okay, that's illegally manipulating asset value, which we all know they're on there telling us Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million, and then 1 week later they're running on CNN saying that he should sell Mar-a-Lago. That would solve his problems. He could raise $240 million right there. The one lady said. So what is the value? Is it 240 or is it 18 or is it half a billion? I don't know what the value is. I guess it's what somebody will pay. Okay. So, but James quickly objected, noting that KSIC, that's Knight Specialty Insurance Company, was not licensed in New York and raising questions about the sufficiency of the bond. They can cover the bond. This is all crap. This is Letitia James witch hunt. They are going after him so hard. This lady is so full of hate in her heart. She makes me sick. But James filed her response on Friday, writing that KSIC was not regulated by the state's insurance department and had never before written a surety bond in New York or in the prior 2 years in any other jurisdiction. But of course, they have the money. The payment is not a problem. The article goes on to describe that. But I'm going to move through this stuff pretty quick because there's a bunch here. So listen to this. This is coming out in the, in the news more now. NPR. Well, let me go. I'm going to play this video from this NPR lady first. Watch this.
The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust.
Listen to this. She is complaining right now about the First Amendment, the very thing that guarantees freedom of the press. But because NPR is truly a captured platform, meaning that they get their money from the government, a fair sum of it. Yes, some comes from private donors, but they are funded by the government to a large extent. And her problem is with the First Amendment. Listen to the rest of this.
Right. Protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important that platforms have those rights to. Okay,
again, now this is where she goes off the rails, because the protection of rights for platforms, she's talking now about, X or Facebook or whatever, because she wants censored content. That's what she wants. But the problem is they were given these protections to say, hey, you're a platform. Okay, so you're not a publisher. You don't make publishing decisions. She wants them to make publishing decisions.
Regulate what kind of content they want on their sites, but it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around it.
So she's talking about people like me. She calls me an influence peddler who's made a market economy around this. No, the economy is there because they are unwilling to cover factual news. I mean, do any of you guys turn to NPR as the source of truth for your news? I mean, is that what you're listening to? I mean, I listen to them sometimes. I'll be honest. I mean, I like to hear what the left is up to. It's part of my job. But do any of you trust NPR? I know conservatives who listen to NPR and they think it's good reporting. So I'm just curious. I mean, do any of you think NPR is like? I just can't even. It's wild to me that people trust these folks. So here's what's going on: multiple bills now. And this will not pass, okay? I'm not making that point. Several U.S. House Republicans introduced multiple pieces of legislation to defund NPR following new allegations of leftist propaganda from the taxpayer-funded news source. House Freedom Caucus Chair Bob Good, Jim Banks, Claudia Tenney introduced similar legislation to prohibit federal funding of NPR, including barring local public radio stations from utilizing money from federal grants to purchase content or pay dues to NPR. Over the years, Republicans have made multiple attempts to defund NPR, citing similar complaints. The latest outrage follows an editorial from former NPR editor Yuri Berliner criticized the news source, claiming it had lost America's trust. So this is a former NPR editor criticizing NPR, and now more calls to defund them, which is good. Okay, which is good. Okay. Now, let's see here. Go to this. I wanted to get to this. Here's the late polls. Here's where this is at. Fox News, which typically leans left. Trump 51, Biden 45 in Georgia, Michigan 49-46. I mean, all over. Georgia, Trump versus Biden versus Kennedy. And we got Trump +7. So he always goes up when Kennedy gets in the race because Kennedy is pulling votes for Biden. We're still on a path, a trajectory here that does not look good for Joe Biden. We also have the Senate was given a chance to vote on amendments to help fix a slew of unconstitutional provisions to RISAA, the fake FISA reform bill, and truly reform our government spying practices as well. This is how bad it is in the U.S. Senate. My First Amendment included my bipartisan Fourth Amendment is not for sale act that was already passed by the House, even with Mike Johnson over there, defeated in the Senate 31-61. 31-61. We have 49 Republicans. It was defeated 31-61. My Second Amendment would have exempted Americans from being swept up in the bulk collection of personal data from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. We could have ensured both constitutional rights and national security were protected. That one was defeated 11-82. So yet again, the Senate was asked to consider the question, can liberty be exchanged for security? And sadly, the majority of senators said, yes, it can. Final FISA reauthorization passed once again. So, you know, there's plenty of bad news out there, people. I am not going to deny that. Our Republican Party is completely let down. This is what I keep telling people. You've got to get involved in the grassroots, and you've got to run for office within the Republican Party, precinct committeemen. You've got to be delegates and so on, because if we're not, we're losing it. It's imperative that we do that. So this is, though, if you watch everything the deep state is doing, from trying to deny the Secret Service protection for Trump to, running false information through the media and then utilizing government funds to money launder back through Ukraine, the Biden and the Republicans as well. Mitch McConnell was on the take with that. Kevin McCarthy was, but right now Speaker Johnson has been a bigger disappointment than Kevin McCarthy, which I can't believe. I mean, I didn't like Kevin McCarthy. You guys know that. It's not like I think he's but apparently we shouldn't have vacated the speaker, because now we've got Johnson, and I got to tell you, it's not better. And he's running out ads right now. He's running ads saying that he's answering the call of God. Now, look, I think people should answer the call of God on their lives. I really do. But this is what it is. He's trying to tell us this is what that is. Sending more money to Ukraine, pushing us further in debt, and burdening our grandchildren. And that's the call of God. I don't buy it, people. I don't. But the entire deep state apparatus is out. Back to the interview I just shared with you with Corey Lewandowski. He talks about it. They're career bureaucrats, and they think, hey, we're going to be here longer than you. And so we don't need to listen to you. We don't need to listen to the voters and so on. It's nuts. So anyways, Thanks so much for listening. Please go check out my sponsor, MyPillow. Again, if we don't get free and fair elections, all of this is over. And Mike Lindell has done more than anybody else. Okay? So mypillow.com/lumberjack. People at $25 extravaganza, big savings, $9.50 slide sandals right now. Go get yourself some. And thanks so much for listening. All right? See you on the next episode. Peace out.